Hello everyone, welcome back. In our last tutorial, we discussed about creating Magento admin grid using custom data provider. Today we will be discussing about filter components. Filter components are used to create filters in Magento admin grid. There are two ways of adding filters in Magento admin grid. The first one is using filter tag, and the second one is by creating custom filters for non-column components. So let's begin. We will start by discussing the standard way, that is, using filter tag in columns and adding a filter. If you can see my screen, I have opened the UI component file for our custom data provider admin grid. As of now, we have no filters. We will start by adding text filter for, let's say, one of the column called name. These are the filter types that you can use. So I'll be using text over here. Okay, so where is name? Yeah, I simply need to add filter text and that's it. Now you will be able to see a filter called name with a text input field. The next will be, let's say, text range. I will add a text range filter to ID field. Alright, we have concluded our first part. Now let's go to the second part, where we will be adding a filter which is a non-column filter. Suppose we want to add a date filter. We don't have any columns called date, so it will not be possible to use this method for adding a date filter. Now to add a date filter, we will have to customize this filter tags. First of all, alright, so let's start by adding a date filter. We'll be using a special tag called filter range because our date filter will be a range filter. I will name it as, let's say, date itself. I'll be using a date range type component class for this. If you go into this module UI component filters type, you will see the different type of filters that can be used. For now, we will be using this date range filter. So let's go to this date range filter, copy the address of it, and add it over here. Okay, now the provider would be the parent class. And we will add some settings for the filter. Should be settings. The first and the most important one is this one. We need to add a range type, which is date. Then after, you can use label. Created date. And then it should be data scope. Remember to use the data scope because data scope is a ID which will be storing the value of this filter. Usually it is the same as the filter name. Alright, that's it. Now let's clear our cache and check on the front end. Okay, we got an error. It says class Magento UI component filter type date range does not exist. Let's verify. I might have made some mistake over here. Okay, there is a typing mistake. I have added range instead of range. Now it's work. Yay, we got the date filter. Okay, let's try out something else. Let's try adding a text filter now. Similar to the name, but we will be trying to add a custom one. Now the text filter is a filter input kind of a filter because we're inputting the data. So let's name it as input type. Again, a standard settings can be added. Label. It is true. Let's call it SKU. Again, data scope is very important. Oh, we forgot to name this. Let's name it SKU, and we'll pass the same name into the data scope. Now you should be able to see the input type called SKU. Alright, we have it over here. You might have observed that the layout is a little bit different from this one. This is a part of customizing the template and the component. We will be covering it later on. Last but not the least, let's try adding a select filter. What we will try is we'll try to add a list of all the stores into a select filter. Considering we want to filter something by our store, our website, or our store view. We will be using this option class for this. This is a core class which provides a list of stores in return. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so this will be our filter select component. As always, we'll be adding settings. The first thing will be the options settings. This will supply the options to our select component. I will copy the name of this file. Now next will be captions. Captions will be used as a default value. I misquoted. Okay. Again, very important, the data scope. I am naming it as store ID, and probably I will also name this filter select as the same. I'm using import to import the properties of visibility. Now we should be able to see the list of all the stores in the filter. Let's check. Here it is. Alright, so that's it for today's tutorial. We'll be coming back with a new video soon. Thank you and have a nice day. Goodbye.